Hey everybody, Lucas Sater here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In this video, I'm going to break down and explain a couple of show transitions that I produced for Starley's Corona Fest performance. But before I go ahead and do that, I want to quickly talk about show transitions and why we use them in the first place. When you go to see a concert, obviously the artist is playing multiple songs that may span multiple albums, genres, keys, and tempos from their catalog. And sometimes the artist may not want to talk between song A and song B. They want to go straight from song A to song B. That could be for multiple reasons. It could be for the pacing of the show because playing a song and then stopping, playing a song and then stopping can get a little stagnant. They may have to have a wardrobe change. They may want to grab some water and not want to have any dead space or dead silence in between. And so we use show transitions to make sure that the show keeps flowing from beginning to end. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I look at building a show very much like a movie, where there's a beginning, a middle, and end, and there's a story arc. And if you think of any great movie that you've seen, even though the movie may take place in multiple locations with multiple characters, there is an arc to it, and there is a way that you go from one scene to another with keeping the story moving and keeping the audience knowing what's going on and understanding the plot of the story. So that's the same thing with these show intros, because we want to keep people engaged and we want to make sure everyone's having a good time and they stay in the moment. So without any further ado, let's break this one down. So the first transition I'm going to show you is between a song called Been Meaning to Tell You and Arms Around Me. And for this specific show, we didn't have a band. It was just Starley, tracks, and a guitar player. And she very much wanted this to feel like a DJ set where the music doesn't stop. If you've ever seen a DJ perform, once the music starts, it never stops. People are always dancing and they always keep people engaged by doing that. So what DJs will normally do is they'll take an element from the second song and towards the end of the first song, sprinkle it in there so that when the second song actually starts, it's a very smooth transition. And that's exactly what I did here. I took the vocals from Arms Around Me, the main vocals that say, "Whoa, oh, wrap your arms around me, baby," and I pitched it down and sped it up to the tempo of this song, because we're here at 124 and this song is at 114. And I introduced it about 8 measures before so that the audience could get used to hearing that. Starley could start to tell everybody to sing along and repeating those vocals and that gets it in people's heads. And I also slowed down at a certain point very gradually, as you'll see here. Here's my tempo ramp going from 124 to 114. So it slows down. So check it out. Let's listen to this. Nothing crazy, right? There's no crazy production trick or anything wild that I did, musically speaking. But here's something that's good to note on this. Musically speaking, there's no crazy harmony. I didn't, add chords that would take us from, I think the first song is in E minor and the second song is in G minor. Nothing like that. But we're keeping in mind of what we want this to be, which is like a DJ show. And DJs don't do that. when they mash up a song, they literally like transitioning from a song, they're literally mashing them together and getting from one to the other. And that's exactly what I did. I just took an element of the second song, added it in there, slowed it down. Again, we don't want it to be jarring. If I had just gone from 124 all the way here to 120, 114, it would have seemed like something was wrong. The audience would have been like, what the heck just happened? Did the speaker break? Did something go wrong with, with the DJ equipment? So very simple, and it keeps it flowing nice and, concise, nothing crazy. But again, simplicity sometimes is a great thing.
Your mind. You say so much when you're high, but it's not enough to know your mind. You say so much when you're high, but it's not enough to know your mind. Not enough to know your mind.
All right, so let's talk about the second song. So the second set of songs, I should say. So the second set of songs is a song called Signs and Into You. And this one is similar in some ways to the first one that I just showed you because we're taking elements from one song and putting it into the other. But on this one, we're actually going to kind of take the guitar part from the first song and speed it up to match the tempo of the second song, while then bringing elements of the second song in so that we kind of create this mashup. We had to do that just because it sounded better and because the tempo of, there's a 26 BPM tempo difference, which was pretty large. So let's hear the ending of this one and we can break down what we did. Speeding up. You say so much when you're high, but it's not enough to know your mind. So by this point, we are at the tempo of the new song. So instead of like kind of how we did with Been Meaning to Tell You and Wrap Your Arms Around Me, when we get to the tempo, where as is in the first time, when we got to the new tempo, the song started, we are waiting a little bit because Starley wanted to get people to clap along and sing along, and she wanted a little bit of a longer outro because she knew she was going to need some water, maybe catch her breath a little bit. So by this point here, we're still taking, all I did is I took the guitars from this song and I just sped them up. I'm going to show you my tempo ramp real quick. Check that out. Right there, that's where that starts. And by here, we are at the new tempo. That's all I did. And I added some vocal elements as well. I kind of kept the outro vocal elements going, which is this vocal right here. Let me solo it. You say so much when you're high. We got some other vocals right here. And I think this is the same thing. Different harmony. And then I'm slowly adding some other stuff in. So on the second, so this is the first time around. We'll title this as the first one. Second time around, we have this guitar right here. It's also in the song, also in Signs. And we have no bass yet. I decided just not to add bass. We have a little bit of a shaker here that's going through as well, kind of keeping the rhythm going. Remember, we don't want the energy to die down too much. We want to keep it, keep the crowd going because Signs is already a slower song. So we want to keep, get everybody going, let everybody know we're going into more of a dancey, vibey song. So we got a little shaker here, and then a little percussion. Okay. And starting here is where we're going to start introducing elements from Into You. We're going to have this clap, getting people to clap along. We're going to add some bass, which is, this bass is from Signs. Following the chord progression. We have a new guitar coming out right here. Kind of a funky thing. Again, we're getting people dancing. Still have some vocals happening. And on this part, we add even more elements from Into You. This drum, we have a snare. Some more kicks. Really get everybody going. And we have these like fun little drums, which is from Into You, because now we're getting into that groove, into like the swingy kind of groove. And then we have this little element here, this verse pluck. As you can see, swells up. You know, there's a volume. It starts out real low, and then it gets to the normal volume. And what else do we have? And a little riser. 2 risers, actually. And that's it. Again, mixing and matching elements. We're taking things from one song, taking things from the other, putting them together, making them make sense, like a conversation, like a movie. You know, again, I'm going to keep going back to the movie reference that I always talk about. Going from scene 1 to scene 2, things have to make sense. The story has to make sense. This is a way we make the show make sense while keeping everybody's energy up. Because she could have easily said, you know what, after Signs, I'm going to stop and talk. But that kind of, and again, there's places to do that. Absolutely. You don't want to just play an hour and a half of music without talking. Engaging with your fans is extremely important. You catch your breath. You know, you talk, tell them what you're doing, and tell them the story of the song. But for this one, we wanted to keep it upbeat. We wanted to keep the people dancing. It's a festival. Also, keeping in mind, when you play festivals, not everybody is there to see you or knows about you just yet. So keeping that energy up is important. Keeping people dancing is important. So check out here the ending. It goes smoothly right into it. And we're dancing. We're into that other song. There's no stopping. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone's having a good time. All right, so third and final transition that I'm going to show you. So this one is going from a song called One of One into Bad Love. And as you can see here, the tempo difference is quite large. We have 78 to 138 that we have to go to. So for this one, we decided to leave just a little bit of space at the end of One of One. It's also a little bit more of a more heartfelt song, and Bad Love is a little bit more bigger, more energy. So we wanted to leave a little bit of space, but we didn't want to go straight in from this, heartfelt song into a big upbeat song, just straight from one or the other. It's a quite a big jump in difference in mood and in style. So what we did was we kind of took elements from Bad Love. We didn't do anything with 101, so this one's a little different. And we just kind of built them up, almost like a intro, kind of how I talk about show intros. This is sort of like an intro to this song, and it kind of starts chill with a little bit more of the vibe of this song, but then it goes into Bad Love, which is more beat. There's like heavy distorted guitars. There's a guitar solo. There's all this stuff. So let's check it out. Also, Starley during this point said she was going to need a little bit of a break to get some water. And again, she doesn't want to have any dead air, dead silence in there. And this is a great way for her to do that and also hype people up and talk to the crowd. Sometimes it's good to have intro music because artists sometimes don't like to talk over nothing. Some artists do. Some of them have no issues with that, but other artists don't like having silence at all. So important to note that, but check this out. So we're going to start out here with some light drums. They don't really change. The drums are pretty much the same throughout. So I'll just solo those drums now for you. Right? That's the pattern. The kick changes a little bit, but for the most part, that's what it is. There's like some little like heartbeat effects, which is from Bad Love. Some little percussion. I think this one was something that I added. Same thing with the snare here. And the stick. Okay. Some claps, some percussion, but nothing crazy. Way more in the vibe of the first song. Now, we're going to move on to the bass. And in the beginning, bass is going to play one note. Again, we want to have something to build to. We don't want to come out right away with the chord progression. It's a new song. We don't have to throw in, the kitchen sink at it just yet. We got to get it to grow. I also have this little sub boom that goes into the song. I found that whenever you can add subby effects like that, whether it's like a reverse sub, which is what this is, or just a sub boom kind of thing, it always sounds great, especially over those huge speakers with the sub. The audience loves that kind of stuff. And then let's check out the pats. In the beginning, it's just bass and drums and some effects. There's no other harmonic content. As you can see, this first half has nothing. There's some effects on here. Let's listen to that real quick. Not much there going on. When we get to the second half, we now have a sub bass. Playing the chords of the song. Our live bass here is now also playing the chords of the song. I think this is an electric bass that I tracked. Okay. And I added some cool distortion to that. I love this plugin right here. Really gives it a nice little vibe. Check it out, with and without. With. Quite a bit different. There's also obviously a volume difference, but there's some distortion in there as well. That's really fun. And then let's look at our synths. Got that one. And I believe I made all these three, and then this one is from the song. This little. Again, we want to tease the song, right? We want to have elements of it so that it makes sense when we go into the song, when we actually start the song. And then we have some effects here. We have this like crowd thing, which is fun. She would always get people to clap along during that section. Uh, Also found this is a fun trick, I guess. When you tell the audience to clap, it doesn't work on every show, but when you tell the audience to clap along and they hear claps coming out of the speakers, for some reason, they're just way more likely to clap along. Um, so sometimes we do that. We put some claps in there, even though they're not in the original song, and we put them in so that people, you tell people to clap, and then I think maybe it's because they hear the claps and they don't realize that it's coming from the PA and not the other people in the audience, that they start clapping along. So it's a little trick, that's really cool. And then we have some uplifter effects right there, nothing crazy. And then this little swell going into an effect. And one thing I forgot to note, in between the sections, right? Because this is kind of divided into two sections. We got the intro and then the build. So I'm going to put this here so you can see it. I took her vocal from the song. The lyric is "Just take me to hell and back." Again, we're trying to tease the song. Just take me to hell and back. So there's our vocal and a low vocal double. Here's a cool mixing trick that goes along with this one. When you are listening to music on in a concert level versus listening to it at home, whether it be in your iPad, your AirPods, or your speaker, you have to keep in mind that when you have headphones on, you're listening to both sides of the stereo image. You're listening to the left and on the right. When you are listening in a concert, sometimes depending on where you're in the venue, you may not get that full spread of effects. So sometimes if things are balanced because they're mixed for a record for you to hear it, with your headphones or however you're gonna listen to it, if they're balanced, at least main elements of a song, if they're balanced too much to one side, it may not come across as much. So what I did was I took this intro vocal and I put this little imager on it and made it kind of go like this. And I'm going to play it for you with and without it so you can check it out what it sounds like. Here's without it. Just take me to hell and back. If you're listening to this with headphones, you're going to notice, and you can see it on the waveform, that the majority of the information is on the left channel. And that translates great on the record. Live, sometimes it doesn't. So here's what I put this thing on to kind of, make it a little narrower. Just take me to hell and back. Especially because it's a important part of the intro. And I have this intro vox here as well that goes through. Yep, just a fun rumbling effect. Had to EQ some frequencies on this one. There was like some higher frequencies that just were not sitting well with me. I'll play it here for you without it. That little wasn't a fan of that. It was also on the left side. If you listen to that again, it's only on the left side, and it kind of I wasn't a big fan of it, so I EQ'd it out. So you can barely hear that. If you hear it on headphones now, you'll hear just a little bit, but in the context of the mix, you cannot hear it. So yeah, that's about it. Just to recap, taking elements from one song and mixing them to another, making sure, your tempos and everything are consistent, that everything moves really smooth and you almost don't notice it. Don't be afraid to keep it simple, and always keep the listener's perspective in mind when you're creating this. Try to put yourself in the shoes of the listener. And yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you've learned something. If you like this video, Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave me a comment. And I'll see you on the next one. Until next time, much love.